Welcome. Thanks for being part of the weekly briefing. I know this isn't the sexiest topic, so if we said we're just going to talk about sales for the next hour and convert everything, we'd have like 300 people on here. But we believe this is some of the most important stuff we're going to cover because within Rev community there are quite literally 10, like 3 or 4 or 5 dozen, probably 5 dozen people that have gone through confab groups in the last quarter that we've all got to meet and hear more and get feedback. So each of us have chosen a topic based off of what we hear that's going on in the industry right now, concerns that have been brought up in previous groups from many of you that have been part of it, and conversations we think would help move us forward. So it's fun when we get to talk about the big picture topics. So before we dive into it, everyone just say hi, wave, say hello, give each other. Yeah, it's really, really great. These are the confab leaders for the quarter. And so it's exciting. Let me just explain what confab is, just in case. And Linda, you are one of the institutions here of the confab. You've been, I think, in all of them. Every time I show up in a confab group, no matter what, I feel like you're a part of it. So thanks for participating so much. But for us, like confab groups are really just small groups. And the goal of a small group is to get people to meet one another, so grow the community and the relationships that are in there, but also bring together specifically for a topic because many of us are interested in growing and learning something. And when you gather with others, there's an opportunity to learn from one another, and then also just a time of focus once a week to grow and move that agenda forward. So the way we structure confab groups is we do it by quarter. It's actually a 10-week quarter. Each one of us are volunteering our time to put ourselves out there in that 1 hour of week. And each of us have chosen an hour that's convenient to us. So we tried to, kind of meet the spectrum of needs that are there. And it's many things that we're kind of interested in having conversations about that we think that if you participated and you joined in, you would be able to see it as well. As we talked about maybe just a few minutes ago, when we first kicked off Confab, I think there was 2 groups, and now we're doing 6. And if we bring the Spanish-speaking group in, there'll be 7 Confab groups. The reason why it's growing is our interest is growing and people are growing. So Nico, you've actually come from being a business owner in a group, and then you asked, hey, can I be part of one of the initial groups? And like Nico, we've had other business owners join in and want to run a group for a topic. So one of the things as part of our agenda is to grow these groups by following your interests. So as we learn this stuff and roll this stuff out, if you ever have any ideas, we'd love to hear from you. So that's what confab groups are. That's what they're about. What we're going to do today is really simple structure. I want each person to introduce themselves and then also introduce why they chose the topic that they're discussing. So you can hear the kind of the formation of the thought, the desire of the person talking about it, and then you can just get to know each person. I want to point out to something as I introduce Molly Lewis that what's really fun about the development of RevThink and what's going is Molly, Joe, and Matt are all previous agency owners. So we're growing beyond just like studio spectrum, but the agency perspective. And it's so relevant because many of us as studio owners actually work with agency owners. And it's so great to hear the other team's playbook, the things that are going from the agency side and some of the why. So even though you guys are giving us input from agency side, it's very relevant to one side or the other. But also I feel like agencies are not often supported on the strategic side and the value proposition side. So for you guys and your agendas, I think it's so amazing. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Molly. I want you to kind of just share who you are, describe that. I'm going to share the screen really quick to kind of put your topic out there as you kind of introduce the thoughts. But Molly, thanks for joining us. Tell us what's going on with you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks so much, Tim, for having me here and letting me come into your world. It's been a privilege for me to be part of the confab of the last quarter and a privilege to put this together. Because I have been in the ad agency world for going on 2 decades, maybe a little bit more. I was a client leader, a strategist, and also within the world of market research. I have been a part of hundreds, if not thousands, of pitches. And I feel like as we're moving into Q4 and it turns into the busy season, there's something really compelling about thinking about the pitch process as much as the world that we're in, um, how we can remain present, how can we cultivate a presence of active listening so that it's as much about the content and the effort and the joy that comes into building business as getting into the room and learning how to make the most of the time that you've got with the clients in those very, very key moments. So I chose this because I believe that this discipline of presence and active listening can be cultivated in a small group. We can bring our tips, our strategies, our thoughts on pitching together and really calibrate new skills on how we can move into that room and make the most of the opportunities that are in front of us, especially when things are moving fast in Q4. So the goal for me and what I would hope your takeaway might be is really getting into this, fostering these critical skills in the moment, feeling confident when the opportunities arise that it's as much about the content and the creativity that you bring forward as being able to take down any stress or unexpected curveballs that come your way within that moment and make the most of the opportunity.
What I love about this topic is we often use the word confidence. Hey, like if you're in the room, your confidence is contagious. So walk in with confidence, but you're actually going to develop the skill around that instead of just using one blanket word and hope people understand it. You're going to say, let's dive into what that
Yeah.
presence really means, who you need to be, and kind of what's expected. And the good news also what's not expected. So you don't have to go in and be overstressed about something that most people aren't expecting from you. They just want you to be human. They want you to explain things and they want to understand how to collaborate with you.
Exactly right. And sometimes when you get into a room and it's extremely stressful and there's a lot riding on it, it's really hard to hear everything that's actually happening because the stress is here and your focus narrows. So how do we just like open the aperture, like create some spare capacity so that you can hear things that might even be unsaid, but even just noticing the shifts that are happening around you in real time
And I
makes a
can
huge
I
difference.
before you jump off too, I just want to prep people because I don't think that it's as easy to hear through your credentials and understand, but your experience, your job currently when you consult with others, but in the past has actually been to set up this room. Like you're part of the strategy team that knows what the project is about. So you've actually set the table for people to come into the room before. And that's really, that insights can be really, really huge.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. And also the strategy for how you present your ideas as well. So we can talk about that too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I know you need to jump off, but Molly, thanks for being part of my last quarter, being part of that conversation. And I'm excited you're going to do your own small group. I look forward to jumping in your group because it's going to be a different time. I can be part of it, but I've learned a lot and I appreciate that. But we'll see
Yeah,
you
thank you so
as we
much.
do
Really
kickoff. Of
excited.
course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful. Thanks so much. Great to see everybody and hope to see you
Great.
there.
Thank you. All right. So that's Molly's. I'm the other person that has agency experience is Joe Valentine. Joe Valentine was an agency owner himself. He owned an agency out of Chicago. He likes to explain that he loved doing the sales. He loved growing the studio. He just didn't love running the agency. Sorry, didn't love running the agency. So, given a chance, he kind of left his agency, did an exit with his business owner there, and got into really this consulting with us at RevThink and trying to help people move forward what it means to convert on sales. And again, I love that he has the agency side. He understands what that pivot and that pitch is often like. In his next quarter, his group is called The Interesting Advantage. It's actually based off a book by Russell Davies called Do Interesting. And the goal here is to explore the ways that a creative firm can leverage the practice of interestingness, is what he likes to call it. Really, this is the idea of like being interesting instead of interest. Yeah, interesting instead of interested. I think that might be how it goes. But the thought process is like, what's the differentiators? How do we actually move into a place where we can be understood and set ourselves apart differently because we're interesting. We're bringing a point of view, a perspective. We're bringing our genius into the room and we're expressing that boldly. So I love Joe. He's a very bold person. If you've been part of his group in the past, it's great. There is a little caveat or a little parenthetical explanation of Joe's group. This is an invite only group. This is what we kind of recognize as people that are advanced or really want to work advanced in sales. They do this all the time. The stress is on them all the time. And they're not asking how to do sales, but they're interested in how to elevate their sales game. So if you are interested, if you think you qualify, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to add people to that room. But it's not just an open room. So we want people to know about that. But it is available if you think that's you and you really want to dive in. We'll feel like it's more like graduate level kind of intensity about this topic. So Joe couldn't make it today, but we're excited that he's doing this group again. And he does have a pretty strong following of people. So we know that the group already starts with an amazing core that has an accountability structure to it. And that accountability is so great in the sales game. So looking forward to Joe's group starting on Wednesdays at 9:00. Jason, I'm going to hand this over to you. I don't think people need much of an introduction for you, or you can give them the introduction of who you are. But if they know about RevThink, they know about Jason Fletcher.
Well, I mean, I've been around a little bit, so as we like to joke, I I've been around for so long. I love our factors method and the way that it helps studios transform the way they think about their finances and transform the way they act with their finances. And Profit First is a book. It's a great book, and it really kind of dovetails naturally into our factors method, actually. And so it is I'll say a tweak on what we do with factors method and how we allocate funds and things like that. And so I chose Profit First because I think a lot of times, I mean, I work with a lot of different clients who, look at their profit and loss statement at the end of the year and go, "Oh, I didn't know that was going to happen." It feels like profit is something that happens to them if they're lucky, or they don't have a profit at all. And so without the plan, and Profit First is a great tool to walk through and show you guys. So what I really want, what my hope is that after we're done with this group, that each of us, there's some parts of it that, hey, open bank accounts and all this other thing, maybe we don't need to do all of that stuff. My hope is that what we take away after we're done with this group is how to be sure we're planning for every aspect of the financial parts of our business, taxes, profit, all of those things, and that we'll have a better handle on what we're looking for in 2026. So
what I love about your description, you started by saying profit isn't what's left over, it's what you planned for.
Yeah.
And I love that concept in the book Profit First by Mike Malkowitz, I think is how to say it, right?
Malkowitz, yeah.
Malkowitz, thank you. So is a book that he basically just focuses on that one aspect of finance. We focus on things larger with RevThink with our clients, but to think about, just like wrap your mind about how profit works, why it works, and what's necessary to make profit. He does such a great job on focusing on that, doesn't he?
Yeah,
and
he does.
Many of us, for some reason, we think of profit almost as a bad word. Like it has to be creative first in a way. And we're not at all disrupting that apple cart. We're just saying, hey, there's a really key aspect of this thing. I also know that when you and I first read the book Profit First, it was an influence to us. You and I kind of took that as a tipping point of like, oh, wait, he's saying words I wish we could have said ourselves. So if we could have written a book, I think it would have been the Profit First book many times as we explain the opportunities there.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And
all right,
I mean, if you've listened to the book, he's pretty funny. So
yeah, he is. There's actually worksheets in the book, so I don't know if you're planning on bringing in those worksheets or not.
I have a plan for that. We'll be distributing worksheets via PDF and stuff. So
So
And
great.
my
So when
group's
we
going to be on
kick off
Tuesdays, not
in
Mondays.
early October, you're actually going to do a Wednesday morning group at 9 o'clock Pacific time. And your group is open to anyone, especially people that have questions about finances or struggling, or if you currently run the factors method or don't even know what that is. It's a great group to get a little bit of introduction to business finance and really important the decisions we make within business finance. So, okay, Wednesdays at 9 o'clock. Thanks, Jay. And we kind of did joke, but Jason is, I don't even know if it's appropriate to say you're employee number one. I feel like you're employee zero. You were the day I opened my account, Jason actually, my checking account, Jason was the guy that opened my account for me. So it was, you've been part
we've
of
been
the
around.
RevThink growth for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so great. I'm glad that people get a chance to work with you and meet you and be part of that thing.
It's been fun.
All right, Matt Taylor, the consultant from Down Under. You have such a unique group. I always think it's so interesting that different cultures actually process things very differently. It took me a while to understand that. It was actually doing one of the first Confab groups with you where we had such a collective of Australians or former North Americans that became Australians, and you guys would correct me and say, Tim, we don't think that way in Australia. We kind of have a different way of thinking about growth, understanding life balance, and so on. And your focus for the last year and a half has kind of been on that. Your group is Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m., which, by the way, makes it convenient for anybody who needs an afternoon or evening group. But also, it's available to the Australians in their morning time. It's always funny that it's tomorrow morning for us in the West. There's a tomorrow quality of it. But why don't you tell us what you're doing and kind of how you came about this topic?
Yeah, I mean, Australia is the future. I mean, America will realize that one time. But so yeah, my background is I was a studio owner and then an agency owner and then a consultant. I worked at Deloitte for 4 years. And I'm a big fan of Stoic philosophy. And so we are going to look at The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. He wrote the Daily Stoic. And what I love about Stoic philosophy is that at the core of it is this idea is that there are things you can control and things you can't control. And so in this book, we're going to look at basically all the obstacles that are going to set on our way because this has been a year full of change, which some of us could not have predicted. And I think with that change, I've seen a lot of people paralyzed, like they don't know what to do and they don't know how to move forwards. So I think if we can really focus on what can I change, what can I actually affect, and look at how we can strategize around that, that will make you so much more prepared for whatever 2026 throws at you. Because this year's been nuts, and I don't think next year is going to be any less nuts. But I think the problem is so many people are distracted. They are they can't think. And I think if I want to work with business leaders who can focus on what they can think about, and then we can make plans around that and make a strategy for 2026. So you'll be less
Yeah,
surprised.
I love this part of your description too. You say you're going to use the book, The Obstacle is the Way. And you say you're going to use it to turn today's challenges into tomorrow's strength. And then here you go on to say, like, we're going to prepare our mindset, sharpen our focus, and get ready to thrive in the year ahead. There really is like the big picture element of wrapping your mind around those decisions in the right, proper way, isn't it? And that
Yeah.
encouragement, especially in a small group, that understanding that you can share and build up one another in the format that you have is going to be part of the conversion. It's not just the book itself, but it's actually the dialogue and knowing that other people are processing it as well.
Yeah, bouncing that stuff off other people who know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and are in the same situation as you. That's always
Yep.
the best part. And again, you have quite a following, a really good core to your group, and you guys are quite a tribe. Like I really love the way you guys support each other. You're very open, very transparent. It's been great to be part of some of the conversations and that openness that comes. So I know that there's a trust factor that's already been built with your small group. I'm sure they would love to have others join and participate.
Yeah, we've got some new people who want to join, and they can. It'll be good to hear what they think.
Yeah, me too. Really, really great, Matt. Matt, thanks for picking this topic. I think it's going to be a good challenge. and a great reminder of some of the reality of what it takes to be a business owner. This is awesome. Nico, I feel like, let me get right to you. So can I set you up just for a quick second, Nico? Because you were a RevThink client for a couple years. I mean, I feel like we on a weekly basis. And it was exciting to work with you guys because you had the US based group and your Milan,
Manila.
your Filipino based group. And the group in Manila had to make decisions while you were asleep in the United States. And so there was a leadership transfer that took place and the growth potential that was there. And I remember you guys making these decisions and kind of like building the trust between you and another group. But you always stayed in a very strong way, a small core group of people. So there's something that you've really embraced about being a small business owner that you really love, and you didn't want to become a mammoth kind of a presence, did you? And that has been with all the small groups you've been doing have kind of had that element to the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thanks. That's called a segue. That's a setup.
Yes. That's exactly right. But to be honest, there was a point that we wanted to, we had this big discussion about growth and do we want to be like, awesome. There was that conversation, and it still goes back and forth. But at the end of the day, there's a specific core group within the company that really kept everything together. And but it took 2 years or more to really get there, meaning being remote. This is back maybe 2014 on how do you work remotely, having 2 separate companies working as one, and in like 13-hour difference. So very challenging. But I think the key thing for us, what I've been noticing, is why I wanted to do this group, was I've been talking to a lot of people that were kind of like me. I started out as really a motion designer and VFX artist, and then moving into directing TV commercials and then owning my own studio. And one of the biggest things that I think I also went through, that I'm feeling some people are questioning how to get there, is that jump from being the doer, the artist, from being the one that delegates, or thinking more of like let me be the conductor and kind of run everything, as opposed to being the doer. And I think that switch is really challenging and difficult. And that really has to do with, how are you able to step out of yourself and understand that like what you do is not necessarily who you are as a person as well. And I think those are the topics that I'd love to be able to, discuss within that group. And the goal is to be able to really see, objectively, hopefully, kind of see like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Do I want to keep doing this? Where do I want to take this? And then honestly, being able to honestly tell yourself verbally, outright, like not just in your brain, about like why you're doing what you're doing. And then hopefully that helps to get to the next point of like, okay, now I know what it is. This is the next step I want to be able to do. And it's been really great in the last 2 groups where people were very open. People shared a lot of things in terms of their processes, what they did, how they're able to either jump, or they're still in that position that they can't jump because they like doing the work. Then that's the big question that we would have a conversation is, you love doing the work, but then you want to grow. So how does that look like?
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like if you want to do, but you want to grow? So
again, I feel like you guys have all written some really good text, but I love this part of what you wrote in the description. You says we're gonna work together to explore the opportunities. And then I love this: make bold but wise decisions and support each other as we put courage into practice. I think I love that last part is, this thing that you're talking about, these decisions are often feel like they're obvious, but we hold ourselves back because we don't yet know the steps. So making that decision, understanding it with wisdom, but then supporting each other, knowing that you don't have to do it on your own. There are people, resources you can ask, maybe speed up some of the issues because someone else has solved that problem. They could just give you the answer or tell you that resource. That openness allows people to kind of grab that hold of that expansion idea and then take the risk and do it, because what feels risky you can overcome with a support group.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's the group will not work if you're not open. that's what we've discovered from like just the groups, the people that were very open and a little vulnerable, it we that group that group in that confab, tend to like talk together outside of the group. And even now, like we're having conversations and you're able to really see, hey, this is my current issue right now. Sometimes they just need an ear. Sometimes they don't want me necessarily you to say anything, but being able to hear like themselves verbalize it out loud helps a lot as well.
Yeah, I love that. And thanks for being kind of like a community leader on this thing. You're doing this from the inside out. You're not, some of us have a practice and we're talking to multiple leaders all day long and understanding some big picture trends. You're kind of empathizing because you are living this out and people
Yeah, I'm
can
still there.
recognize you as one of them. Yeah, it's really exciting. I gotta admit, it's one of the best takeaways from your group is that you're living it out like them and they get that firsthand perspective.
Yeah, sometimes I get to ask the question, hey, has anyone done this yet?
Yeah, that's great too.
That's when it's the most fun.
Yeah, when they say when a person's ready to learn, there are two people, or when a person teaches, there are two people that are learning, kind of a thing. It's like when you get to teach it, you gotta learn it. That's really awesome. Thanks, Nico, and thanks for volunteering to be part of a group. Okay, I guess it's my turn. By the way, Nico, your group is Wednesdays at 8 a.m. So that's your kind of
that's my 12 right? Eastern, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I just realized on my slide it says Wednesdays at 9. It's actually Thursdays at 9. So I must have copied that text from somebody else. Maybe I'll just fix it right here real quickly. No, I'll fix it later. But mine actually is Thursdays at 9 o'clock. So if you've been part of my small group in the past, nothing's changing in the timeline. The core group that I've been part of this conversation, and I'm kind of moving the conversation forward. Anyone that's been in my group before or followed these things, that I kind of like take something that's big picture and try to dive into it into piece by piece. We covered the 4 conversation with Blair Enns. In my first group, we read a book called Eat People, which is about economic trends. I'm going to kind of keep that conversation going, but specifically, I want to. There's something that excites me about this turning point that's taking place in our industry, and there's so many familiar aspects to it. So if you haven't gone through one of these turning points before, it feels scary. It feels wide open. It feels like you're being replaced. It feels like the technology is going to eat us. There's a lot of just language around fear and almost too conclusive about what's going to take place, because we're basing it off of the current information, who we currently are. But this transitions that happened before, I lived through one of them myself in the 90s, and it feels so familiar in so many different ways of when the internet was just getting started, when digital was a possibility opposed to doing handheld or analog-based items. And that transition, there were some shakeups. There are some earthquakes along the way, but it gives birth to something new. So my conversation is, I'm calling it timelines and turning points. And I want to make sense of what's going on today by looking at the bigger picture, these kind of global trends. I'm going to use a book that I think is a really fun book called The Fourth Turning. There's some amazing surprises in this book. It's about these kind of global changes. And anybody that's a follower of The Fourth Turning knows what this big picture 80-year seculum, he called it, is. And what these 80-year turning points are, or the fourth turning, 4 20-year kind of changes. I'm going to use that as a principle to understand and uncover the things that are driving changes today in our current industry, and the opportunity to make different decisions as these opportunities arise. So I'm going to pull back Google Earth. We're going to talk about the big picture thing. And I would really love, this is the fun part, really love audience participation in my group. So there's going to be homework, but it's going to be really fun homework, because we're going to bring in current events and dissect them in the group. So we're going to look at current events with a long focus, 150-year focus on this current event, to see if we can't understand where it comes from, what's happened before, how it's similar to things that have happened before, and recognize it, as well as recognize the outcome of it. So current events with a long perspective. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I hope to keep it relevant and keep the conversation going and get us out of the kind of the muck of what feels like is happening right now in our industry. So again, mine's Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. So that's all 6 of us. Those are the 6 kind of live groups we have right now. Our encouragement is to dive in, take a leap, join one of these small groups. We do ask for a nominal fee. It's $300 a month to do it. I like to explain that's there so that you show up. But scholarships are totally available. If there's some reason why you need to make it more affordable, we're wide open to that conversation. So please be part of it. And we highly encourage you to jump into as many groups as you want to in the first week or 2 to figure out which groups you would want to be able to stick with, which ones are fitting your needs at the time, either the time of day or the topic that's being covered. These are wide open groups to the community. If you're a member of Rev Community, you're already plugged in and doing things. If you're not a member of Rev Community, not a problem at all. Reach out to us, understand, get some understanding of what we're doing, and then we'll be happy to plug you into the community and let you kind of join these small groups as well. Our real big encouragement is meeting one another, because we think that conversations change the world, and this is the best way to do it. Kind of small group, one person at a time. That's the big picture. Anybody else have any kind of questions, thoughts, ideas? A few of you are kind of listening in. If you guys have any questions or thoughts about any of the details that we shared, we'd be happy to answer them. Okay, I'll take silence as consent, I guess. I don't know what, this is really great. Okay, well, this was wonderful. Thank you for listening and being part of it. Thank you for being part of RevThink and Rev Community and all that we're doing. Everyone volunteered, so any thank you notes and love letters you want to send to our leaders is really, really great. And I look forward to the kickoff. We are going to kick off 2 weeks from today. So we're kicking off the first week of October as we do these groups. I think that would be the week starting October. I'm going to make it up, but like October 8th or 6th or something like that. We'll give you the details and make sure it's posted, as well as you're following us on any of our social media or in Rev Community. We'll make sure you get that information. Thank you all for being here today and being part of this conversation. And we'll see you soon in the Confab groups. You have a great week. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
See ya.
See you guys.